Now joined by Andrew Greif of the Oregonian, the Duck beat reporter. And Andrew, as we know all too well, that football season never really ends. And this week, both the Ducks and Beavers will start spring football. We'll focus, obviously, specifically on the Ducks. We'll start broad. Give me your big storyline going into spring football this year.
It's the defense, because they have only 4 guys who are back as starters from last year from the Alamo Bowl. Offense has 10 of the 11 back. Defense is a little bit more of a rebuild. So I think that's kind of where you have to start, especially with the way the last season ended, with the defense being the big question. Can they stop rushing offenses? That's going to carry over into this next season based on the guys they have to replace.
Marcus Mariota's back, so there's no having to worry about a quarterback battle, anything like that. What about a position battle, though, outside of that? Obviously, the backup quarterbacks will be something that we'll talk about through spring football, but what position battle are you looking forward to the most this spring?
I think you hit one on the head. Backup quarterbacks is interesting, but I think the more apparent need is at cornerback. Replacing Terrence Mitchell, who left early for the NFL draft, is going to be key. The guy, they're not going to go at Ifo Ekpre-Lomo. Offenses aren't going to want to throw that way, so they might look the other way, especially in the pass-happy Pac-12. So that's one where I think that is going to be just a huge opportunity for a number of guys this spring. That and safety, but pretty much the whole secondary, but really corner, because of, I think, the presence of Ifo Ekpre-Lomo right next door to him.
Outside of the spring game, we won't be able to see them. The media won't be able to see them. Fans won't be able to see them. But going into spring football, and if we fast forward a month ahead from now to when the spring game will be, what do you think? What name do you think we'll be hearing a lot about that fans may not know right now?
I would think of 2, and one is at that cornerback position. Chris Cisse, he's coming off a red shirt. He got a lot of praise from position coach John Neal in the fall. He really likes the way he moved. He's 6'1", about 180 pounds, is a bigger guy than a Dior Mathis, who he'll be competing against. He has the experience. Troy Hill, they have the experience, but Cisse is a bigger guy, really athletic, and they really like him. Also, TJ Daniel, he's a converted tight end, and he's going to be on the defensive line now. This is his second spring kind of going into the defensive side of things. He's apparently very large, very athletic, so has that tight end footwork, and he might be a key cog to kind of backing up the Eric Armsteads of the world.
Last year, new head coach starting spring football. Still a little bit of a coaching shuffle going into this spring football with Nick Galeotti retiring, but nothing as drastic as trying to get a new head coach involved in the whole system now. What about Don Pelham moving to defensive coordinator, moving up in that role? He talked on Sunday Sports Extra a couple months ago about bringing a different swagger to this defensive unit. What kind of differences do you anticipate under Don Pelham?
That swagger, he uses that a lot. I talked to him in his office in February. I know you guys talked to him too, right. And the kind of things he said were very similar. It's all about attitude and accountability with him. You want to be confident, but he wants to make sure you show up on time and do your work, kind of the prep work, to enable yourself to practice well or play well. I think there's going to be just a higher level of accountability there. Not that Nick Galeotti didn't preach that, but just for Pelham, that's priority number 1. And with him, Eric Shenander, the outside linebackers coach, he's a new guy. Players love him. They rave about him. Former players rave about him. And the guys who are with him now, like Tony Washington, said they loved him so much when he was a GA, they're just absolutely champing at the bit to get him back as a full-time coach. So those are 2, again, they're very similar names. Shenander has 3 years of experience. He's not a new name, but it's still a new shuffle, and there's always going to be some bumps in the road for how they account for that, but it would seem like they're setting themselves up pretty well.
And that means in a couple days, football is officially back.
Absolutely.
Sort of. Spring football is back. Beavers in action on Monday, Ducks on Tuesday. Andrew Greif, the Oregonian, thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you.